Hi, it's Katrina! From the giant half-shark, half-octopus lurking in the depths to blood-sucking witches waiting for you in the dark, here are 9 mythological creatures from Caribbean and Bahamas folklore. This video was requested by Diablesse Ortega. She mentioned that creatures from the Caribbean don't get a lot of attention, so I hope I can do it justice. Number 9. The Lusca. The Lusca is one of the rare tales that may hold some truth. In many stories, it is a massive octopus-like Caribbean sea monster that's bigger than the giant octopus and the giant squid. Some legends describe the creature as a hybrid between an octopus and a shark, a multi-headed monster, a dragon-like creature, or an evil spirit. Most reported sightings come from blue holes, particularly around the island of Andros and Exuma. This monster inspires fear in locals and is a story told to warn people away from the danger of the blue holes. There are also tales about the Lusca having the top half of a beautiful female with octopus tentacles making up its lower body. In these stories, the monster has extremely long hair that poses an even greater danger to its victims than its tentacles, as it has the tendency to entangle people and drag them beneath the water. Bubbles are often present before an attack. It reportedly grows between 75 and 200 feet long, more than twice as large as any known octopus species. Like many smaller octopuses, it can change colors. The Lusca eats large crustaceans and dwells among rough underwater terrain near caves and along the continental shelf, where prey are abundant. Some people believe that Lusca specimens have washed ashore in the form of globsters, which are unidentified organic masses of decomposing sea life such as whales. Globsters are often unrecognizable and strange-looking, but chances are they are the remains of scientifically recognized species, or perhaps a species that is yet to be discovered. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Number 8. The Chickcharney. The Chickcharney is an ugly, 3-toed, owl-like creature that lurks on the Bahamian island of Andros. It's roughly 3 feet tall and has glowing red eyes and a fully rotating head with fine feathers that resemble fur. In some stories, it's an elfin-humanoid creature that looks like a bird but isn't, and it sometimes has a tail that it can use to climb and hang from trees. And this cryptid is super finicky, and you never know when it might be in a bad mood. These creatures are mischievous and prone to becoming very aggressive. If you are traveling around and meet a Chickcharney and treat it well, and if you're polite, you might receive good luck in return. On the other hand, if you are rude and treat it badly, then misfortune and struggle will follow. If you decide to laugh at one, then you better watch out. Although why you would decide to laugh and poke fun at this creature if you were to come across it is kind of not realistic, I hope. In any case, if the Chickcharney feels offended in any way, it will not hesitate to wring your neck. Since they can turn their neck all the way around, if they are mad, they will forcibly and violently twist your neck. Perhaps the most famous case of a Chickcharney was when former British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain was commissioned to take over his father's plantation in the Bahamas. So he arrived and started chopping down all the trees, which were also home to the Chickcharney. They became extremely angry and cursed the plantation. It fell into decline and became a major financial loss for the family. Locals from Andros Island would carry brightly colored flowers or cloth to charm the creatures to prevent them from attacking. Some scholars believe that the extinct Andros Island barn owl, known more formally as Tyto pollens, inspired the Chickcharney legend. The flightless species coexisted with humans until the 16th century, when European colonizers tore down the forests of Andros Island. People have reported some sightings of the bird and of the Chickcharney, but an official surviving population has not been recorded. Number 7. The Jumbee. A Jumbee is a type of mythological malevolent spirit or demon found in folklore throughout the Caribbean. There are many different types of Jumbees, reflecting the diversity of the island's cultures. In many cases, the basic concept of a Jumbee is that when a person who has been evil in life dies, they become an instrument of evil in death, a Jumbee. They are often depicted as dark, shadowy figures with either no feet or backwards feet. In Montserrat folklore, a Jumbee represents the shape-shifting spirit or ghost of the dead and is believed to possess people during rituals called Jumbee dances. During the ceremony, 4 couples perform a series of progressively faster quadrilles or square dances until the Jumbee possesses one of the dancers. They offer them rum and food so they don't cause too much havoc, and they are also known to shapeshift and so can easily be confused with other things. People in Guadeloupe and Martinique use the term zombie to refer to these evil spirits. In the Bahamas, the Jumbee is called the spirit. The Jamaican term for it is duppy. There are also cultural traditions and folklore revolving around versions of the Jumbee in Trinidad and Tobago, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and Guyana. The one thing they all have in common is that this creature is mischievous, intelligent, and a trickster. So how can you escape the Jumbee? You can leave a pair of shoes outside your door. Remember, they have no feet, or backwards feet, so they will spend the entire night trying to put on the shoes. You can also leave a rope with a bunch of knots, which should also keep them busy. If you are on your way home, try to cross a river or walk backwards. That should keep them from following you. Number 6. The Lagahoo. Also called the Lagahoo or Lugahoo, the Lagahoo is a shape-shifting monster in the folklore of Trinidad and Tobago that is loosely related to French and Germanic versions of the werewolf. Unlike its cousins, the Lagahoo does not necessarily appear as a wolf. By day, it seems like a typical human. At night, it transforms into a headless man with a wooden coffin hanging on his neck. On top of the coffin are 3 lit candles and a heavy iron chain secured around the monster's waist, dragging behind it as it walks. The Lagahoo can shapeshift into various forms, including horses, pigs, goats, and centaurs. It can also change its size at whim to tiny, massive, and anywhere in between. This creature is not a picky eater, but often devours goats and pigs and is known to have a preference for sucking blood. A human can defeat this terrifying creature by beating it for 9 days using a stick anointed with both holy water and holy oil. During the process, the creature shifts into numerous terrifying beasts, including a snarling dog and a wild bull, before changing into magnificent waves of water and ultimately dissipating into a black mist. Number 5. The Ciguapa. Ciguapas are alluring, feminine creatures of Dominican folklore with brown or dark blue skin, black eyes, and long, smooth hair that covers them like a gown. The strangest thing about them, perhaps, is that their feet face backwards. Seems to be a common theme here, doesn't it? They do not speak, and instead they communicate using childlike cries, and they sing beautifully. These mysterious nocturnal maidens live in the high mountains of the Dominican Republic, but they are full of contrasts. People find them extremely beautiful or absolutely hideous. They are wild and cruel, sort of human but innocent, shy yet deceitful, and they are always ready to capture the lost traveler. The Ciguapa spends much of her time in her lair, waiting for an unsuspecting male traveler to come along. When she reveals herself, he is so captivated by her beauty, he follows her back into the forest, which is difficult because her footprints are backwards. Once she's lured a potential suitor to her domain, the Ciguapa passionately kisses him, sucking the life out of him in the process. The rest of her time, she sits on rocks, singing a sad, mournful song and crying. To cheer herself up, she will get into mischief, stealing food from people's homes and occasionally stopping to braid horses' tails in the middle of the night, because why not? People are cautioned against making direct eye contact with a Ciguapa because they might fall into her mesmerizing spell and be lost forever. They can be captured if you follow their footsteps during a full moon using a black and white dog born with extra toes. But if you do capture one, they will quickly become depressed and ultimately die in captivity. Number 4. Papa Bois. Papa Bois is a folklore character of Trinidad and Tobago, St. Lucia, and Grenada, and is the keeper of the forest and all its life forms. He goes by several names, including Master of the Woods and Daddy Bouchon, which means hairy man. He typically appears as a short, horned, and extremely hairy old man with a beard made of leaves and at least one cloven hoof as a foot. Sometimes he takes the form of a large possum. Papa Bois proves that age is merely a number with his magnificent strength and ability to run as fast as a deer. In fact, sometimes he transforms into an actual deer and lures hunters into the woods, causing them to become lost. He also patrols the forest with a hollowed-out bullhorn, warning animals of the presence of hunters. Anyone who encounters Papa Bois can avoid problems by not hunting for anything and greeting him politely. Papa Bois is married to the strikingly beautiful Mama Dlo, or Mama du Lot, who is the protector and healer of river creatures. Number 3. La Diablesse. Many characters of Caribbean folklore originated from the fusion of French and West African cultures. One of them is La Diablesse, a devilish seductress who is well known in Trinidad and Tobago and who may have originated in Martinique. La Diablesse was born as a human but became a demon through her deals with the devil. She's practically irresistible to men with a seemingly perfect poise, figure, and clothing. Her admirers are so distracted they don't notice that she has a hideous face, which she hides with a wide-brimmed hat or a head tie and a cow hoof in place of where one of her feet should be, which she conceals by wearing long, thick skirts. To further hide her cow foot, La Diablesse walks with one foot in the grass and the other on the road. She haunts mountain roads, walking from plantation to plantation, looking for where men are likely to pass. She casts spells on unsuspecting men by first luring them into the forest during the full moon with the help of her deceptive but outwardly enchanting beauty. Then La Diablesse turns into the goblin horror that she actually is and disappears, causing the duped male to become confused and upset. He scrambles through the forest trying to find her or make his way home, depending on the version of the story, until he's eventually eaten by wild dogs or she pushes him off a cliff. You can decide the ending. Number 2. Baccoo. The Baccoo exists in the mythology of many Caribbean countries. They are tiny bearded men with large eyes and long arms and legs who live inside of bottles and who are said to be able to perform great feats of magic. They're also a bit mischievous, famous for pelting stones at people's houses or moving objects inside. They are difficult to please, can shapeshift, and like to make trouble at night. They eat endlessly but are never satisfied. Anyone who can find one is allowed to keep it, although it seems like a lot of work. I wouldn't want one, would you? According to one author, when it comes to Barbadian legend, the only people who ever owned a Baccoo were migrant merchants known as coolie men. These merchants traveled around the island selling their wares, including home appliances, carpets, curtains, and chairs. If someone couldn't afford an item up front, many coolie men allowed them to pay it off in installments. But if the customer missed their payment, the coolie man would summon the Baccoo. One story goes that a rich man kept his Baccoo on a shelf hidden from view. He used a ladder to feed him at night, but then he had to go out of town. He told his servant to leave milk and bananas high on the shelf, but to not look under any circumstances. Of course, the servant couldn't resist and looked. A huge black snake jumped out at him, and he was so scared he fell off the ladder and broke his neck. The Baccoo bears slight similarities to the Abiku, a Nigerian Yoruba entity who was the spirit of a lost, unnamed baby, and who was represented in people's homes by small wooden statues, which were meant to appease the spirit. It's thought by some that the Guyanese Baccoo perhaps derives from the Abiku. Number 1. The Soucouyant. Known in some places as the Old Hag or the Hag, the Soucouyant is a shape-shifting, blood-sucking old hag with a widespread presence in Caribbean folklore, including in Dominica, St. Lucia, Trinidad and Tobago, Guadeloupe, Jamaica, and Grenada, as well as other places. By day, she appears as a reclusive old woman. At night, she removes her wrinkly skin and exists in her true form as a fireball demon, flying around in the dark and searching for her next victim. Once she sets her sights on a potential target, she enters their home through a crack, crevice, or a keyhole. The Soucouyant sucks her prey's blood while they're asleep from soft parts of their body, including their arms and legs. When the person awakens the next morning, their body is covered in black and blue bruises, if they survive the ordeal, that is. If the Soucouyant sucks too much blood from her victim, they'll either die and become one themselves, or they'll just die and the Soucouyant will occupy their skin. As a practitioner of black magic, sometimes the Soucouyant trades her victim's blood with a tree-dwelling demon named Basil in exchange for evil powers. Taking down a Soucouyant requires leaving a pile of rice at an intersection or outside your house. She'll have no choice but to pick it up one grain at a time, keeping her in one place long enough to get caught. In the meantime, the person seeking to destroy her must add salt to the bowl she keeps her skin in, causing it to shrivel up and become unusable. When the Soucouyant can't put her skin back on, she will die. Thanks for watching! Have you ever heard of any of these mythological creatures? Do you think any of them might really exist? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already and join us! See you next time! Bye!